What's good, YouTube? Stormybman is back, and I'm here with another video commentary. This time it's the School of Hard Knocks. Revisited, boxing, classes in session. The whole purpose of this series of videos, and this is part 2 by the way, is to discuss what's going on in the sport of boxing today as it relates to what happens in the ring and how fighters deal with adversity, achievement, underachieving, and overcoming opposition as well as obstacles in their careers in the ring. The reason for this series is just to discuss exactly what takes place in a fighter's career as various matches come about. Here we'll start off with the fight that was of recent note between Rolly and Marinez. In this bout, we saw Rolly get out there against Marinez and fight in a manner of which his skills were lacking as a professional. He was very much all over the place, lunging with his punches, coming in, not behind the jab. And really, because he punches very well at the weight, he took it for granted that he would just go in there and whack his opponent out. However, Marinez had something different on his mind. He worked behind a stiff jab. He used combinations. He was a guy that controlled and dictated the tempo of the fight. Now, Rolly might have had the name going in and also had the whisper on the lips of fans. But Marinez proved more than a challenger. He deserved the victory on that evening. And when the scorecards were read, I was astonished, along with many others, to find out that not only had Rolly scored a lopsided decision victory, it was as if Marinez was never in the fight at all. Chalk this one up as a lesson for Marinez to know that in the future he may have to step it up just another gear if he wants to compete at the high level. For Rolly, I think that giving him or awarding him the decision in this situation really was counterproductive to him. He thinks that he really went out and accomplished something. The only thing he accomplished was being a professional and showing up for the match. He came out of the match believing that he had really accomplished a victory here when the decision should have gone the other way. But that's okay, because the way he's fighting currently, if he continues to go out there against quality opponents, he will be exposed as a young man who needs to concentrate more on technique and boxing skill and ability than being revered for power. So we'll have to keep our eyes on him. But again, that's why class is in session, because you have to speak under the hood when it comes to these guys. You have to tell it like it is, because that's the only way you can grow, when you realize that you haven't really broke through yet. Another fighter in recent note was Jamel Herring, who recently took on Jonathan Okendo. And in this fight, we saw Herring, who was the junior lightweight champion and is a fighter who has a little bit difficulty dealing with extremely aggressive opponents who may be prone to foul and not have things go his way. He has a tendency to be submissive. Now, he may not like hearing this particular criticism, but it is true. This fight saw Herring start off the proper way of delivering his punches in a manner of which he had Jonathan running into his shots. But soon, after Jonathan got dropped by an uppercut by the southpaw Herring, Jonathan looked to get in close and put his head in his chest. Now, Herring, as depicted in this photograph here, was beginning to bend down, allowing himself to be on par with Oquendo's height. That's where the head clashes began. And Herring was on the raw end of that, suffering a tremendous cut, but nothing that would have stopped the fight. As the action heated up, what became readily apparent was Herring began to not use the jab and allow Oquendo to just get in and barrel into his chest, working on the inside with hooks to the body and uppercuts to the body. Herring spent more time grasping and trying to hold and everything, and actually turning to complain to the ref. He should have been using his jab, drawing a line in the sand, keeping his opponent at the end. But he forgot all of that under the pressure of what was transpiring. And he even withered to the corner after the last round of the fight, and he said to his cornerman, "Hey, I can't see, call a doctor over." He really didn't want any more. Now, it's been understood after post-fight, he may have had a fractured eye socket or something like that, a broken orbital bone. If that is the case, that can be extremely painful and would explain why he didn't want to fight anymore. But I'll tell you something, it really didn't look good while everything was live. And I hope the best for Herring's health, and I hope that he can come back even more spirited in the future. But this is a lesson to be chalked up in the school of hard knocks in boxing. That's why we discuss these things. That's why we want to point them out, because fighters do deal with tremendous adversity from match to match. And lastly, the recent fight between Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin. This fight showed, again, why fighters who are so-called near the top of the division need to make sure that they undergo matches with quality opposition on their way up the rung of the ladder, learning how to fight, learning how to control the tempo of a fight, utilizing their skills, boxing technique, being able to jab, hold, do things that you're supposed to do naturally when you are under fire. And in this fight, what we saw was an aging fighter in Alexander Povetkin get dropped a couple of times by Dillian Whyte, who was more than capable at the 6'4" and 250 pounds. He is a physical man. However, Dillian Whyte's technique is horrible. And in this fight, it showed. Whyte often jabbed improperly, didn't turn his hand over where the palm and the knuckle of the fist faces the floor when you shoot the jab. He didn't have a snap on it, but he had thudding, forceful, strong punches. And he caught Povetkin, as Povetkin has been known to wade in wide open. However, another flaw with Whyte keeping his feet together, it was something that was going to prove poor for him eventually. And as Povetkin caught him with that mighty left uppercut, Whyte was caught flush on the chin, feet together, and went down in a heap. He wasn't able to beat the count, and this fight was lost on a number of reasons. He didn't have proper technique. He didn't have proper balance. He didn't watch out for Povetkin's hooks, and he found himself getting hit clean when something like that should not necessarily have happened, especially at the level that they're fighting at. So again, Whyte wants to go back to the drawing board, but he also wants to get right back in there with Povetkin again. Will that be something that reoccurs? Both guys being knocked down and dropped? We'll have to see what happens. But I'll tell you this, in boxing school of hard knocks, these type of mistakes made at the top level of the sport can be repeated. Only the man who looks to make the adjustments and go forward with his career and look to improve will show you and test you and show that his mettle has been tested and he's ready to have a breakthrough. This is Stormybman. That's all I have for you at this time. We'll see you next time on another lesson of the School of Hard Knocks. Until we speak again, Peace and stay safe.